Captain Ji-won Kim stood at the large window of Luna Station, watching the stars. 3 months ago, those same stars had been filled with alien ships coming and going from Earth. Now there was nothing but empty space and silence. The Galactic Council had made their decision. Humans were too dangerous, too wild, too unpredictable. They needed to be contained. So the Council built a cage around Earth's entire solar system. No ships could get in or out. No messages could reach the outside galaxy. Humanity was alone. Ji-won pressed her hand against the cold glass. She remembered the day it happened. Council ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system, carrying strange machines. They placed these devices all around the boundary, creating an invisible wall. The aliens called it a quantum dampening field. To humans, it was simply a prison. Down the hallway, Dr. Minji Park was working in her laboratory. She had been trying, for weeks, to break through the communication barrier. Every time she sent a signal toward the edge of the solar system, it just disappeared. The alien technology was eating her messages. Still nothing, Minji said to her assistant. She wiped, sweat from her forehead. Whatever they built out there, it's smart. It learns from our attempts and gets stronger. In the main lab, computers showed dozens of failed experiments. Each time they tried a new way to send messages beyond the barrier, the alien technology adapted. It was like fighting an enemy that became stronger with every attack. Meanwhile, on the alien homeworld of Kepler Prime, Counselor Vextai was giving a speech to the Galactic Assembly. His reptilian face showed satisfaction as he spoke to the gathered alien representatives. "The human problem has been solved," Vextai announced. "They are now contained within their own system. The galaxy can finally know peace without their violent interference." The assembled aliens nodded in agreement. Most species in the galaxy feared humans. In just 200 years, humans had spread to dozens of star systems. They made allies quickly and fought fiercely when threatened. Many aliens thought humans grew too fast and were too unpredictable. But not all aliens agreed with the decision. Ambassador Kilnar, an insect-like being with 4 arms, stood up to speak. His voice carried worry. "Honored Council," Kilnar said, "I fear we are making a terrible mistake. Humans are dangerous not because they are evil, but because they adapt. When you trap a dangerous animal, it becomes more dangerous, not less." Counselor Vextai waved a clawed hand dismissively. "They are contained. Without access to galactic technology and trade, they will stagnate. Perhaps they will even destroy themselves. Either way, they will no longer be our problem." The vote had been unanimous except for Kilnar's objection. Every other species wanted humans locked away. Back on Earth, Admiral Taeho Lee was meeting with military leaders from every nation. The situation was desperate. Earth's colonies in nearby star systems were cut off. Supply ships couldn't reach them. Communication was impossible. "How long can our outer colonies survive without support?" Admiral Lee asked his staff. "Mars base can last about 2 years with current supplies," reported Colonel Sunwoo Nam. "The Jupiter mining stations have maybe 18 months. After that," he didn't need to finish. Admiral Lee studied the holographic display showing their solar system. Red dots marked the alien barrier devices. There were hundreds of them, forming a perfect sphere around everything humans had ever known. "Options?" Admiral Lee asked. "We could try to attack the barrier devices," suggested one officer. "Maybe destroy enough of them to create a hole." "With what?" Admiral Lee replied. "Our fastest ships can't even reach the devices. The barrier starts affecting our engines long before we get close." Engineer Hyejin Choi spoke up from the back of the room. She was young but brilliant, known for solving impossible problems. "What if we don't try to break out?" she asked. Everyone turned to look at her. Admiral Lee raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "The aliens think they've caged us," Hyejin continued. "But maybe being caged isn't the worst thing. Maybe it's an opportunity." "Opportunity for what?" Colonel Nam asked. Hyejin walked to the holographic display and pointed at the barrier. "Look at this from their perspective. They've given us complete privacy, no alien oversight, no council regulations, no restrictions on our research or development. For the first time in human history, we're completely free to develop however we want." The room fell silent as her words sank in. Dr. Minji Park, who had joined the meeting by video link from Luna Station, nodded slowly. "She's right," Minji said. "Every human colony, every research station, every factory, we can focus everything on a single goal without worrying about alien interference." Admiral Lee leaned back in his chair. Throughout human history, their species had always performed best under pressure. When faced with extinction, humans had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. Each time they had emerged stronger. "What are you proposing?" Admiral Lee asked. "Operation Breakout," Hyejin said. "We use the time they've given us to develop beyond their understanding. When we break free, we don't come back as the same species they locked away." Captain Jiwon Kim's voice came through the communication system from Luna Station. "The aliens made one crucial mistake. They assume that trapping humans will make us weaker. They don't understand that pressure makes us stronger." Over the next several hours, the leaders discussed the plan. Every human settlement would contribute resources. Every scientist would focus on breakthrough technologies. Every engineer would work on new ship designs. Every soldier would prepare for the day they broke free. The aliens wanted to contain humanity. Instead, they had created the perfect conditions for explosive human growth. As the meeting ended, Admiral Lee stood and looked around the room. "The Council thinks they've solved their human problem. They have no idea what problem they've actually created." On Luna Station, Captain Jiwon Kim watched the stars again. But now, instead of seeing a prison, she saw an opportunity. The aliens had given humanity something precious: time to grow without interference. 3 months ago, humans had been just another galactic species, limited by alien rules and regulations. Now they were free to become something entirely new. The cage was built, but the aliens had made one fatal error. They had locked themselves outside while leaving humanity inside to evolve. In her laboratory, Dr. Minji Park smiled as she began working on completely new theories of faster-than-light communication. The aliens had blocked their current technology. Time to invent technology the aliens had never imagined. The quarantine had begun. But it wouldn't end the way the Galactic Council expected. 6 months had passed since the aliens locked humanity away. In that time, everything had changed. Engineer Heejin Choi floated through the corridors of Asteroid Base 7, one of dozens of hidden facilities humans had built in the dark spaces, between planets. These bases didn't exist on any official records. The aliens monitoring Earth's solar system had no idea they were there. "Status report," Hyejin said as she entered the main construction bay. "Prototype 17 is ready for testing," her assistant replied. "We've incorporated the new dimensional theories Dr. Park developed." Hyejin looked at the sleek ship floating in the zero-gravity construction area. It looked nothing like the bulky human ships from before the quarantine. This vessel was smooth, almost organic in design, built using principles that human scientists had only dreamed about 6 months ago. On Luna Station, Dr. Minji Park was having another breakthrough. Her laboratory had expanded to fill 3 entire levels of the station. Equations covered every wall, and holographic displays showed complex mathematical models that hurt to look at. The alien's barrier works by detecting conventional faster-than-light signatures, Minji explained to her team. But what if we don't use conventional FTL? Her research had led her down paths that the Galactic Council considered impossible. While aliens had mastered space travel, they had never seriously studied the relationship between consciousness and quantum mechanics. They thought it was mystical nonsense. Humans thought differently. "If consciousness can affect quantum states," Minji continued, "then maybe we can use human awareness as part of the navigation system. Instead of forcing our way through space-time, we convince space-time to let us through." Her team looked confused, but they had learned to trust Minji's wild ideas. 3 months ago, she had proven that human brainwaves could influence quantum particles. 2 months ago, she had shown that trained human minds could actually bend space-time on a microscopic level. Now she was building a faster-than-light drive powered by human consciousness itself. Meanwhile, Commander Sunwoo Nam was leading a dangerous mission to the edge of the solar system. His stealth ship moved slowly through the asteroid belt, avoiding the alien monitoring stations that watched the inner planets. Target acquired, his pilot whispered. Alien monitoring post. Exactly where? Our intelligence said it would be. Through his ship's sensors, Sunwoo could see the alien facility. It was smaller than expected, just a single automated station with maybe a dozen alien crew members. The Galactic Council was so confident in their barrier that they had left only a skeleton force to watch humanity. Deploy the listening devices, Sunwoo ordered. His team launched dozens of tiny probes designed to look like space debris. These would drift close to the alien station and record everything. Communications, supply schedules, guard rotations. The aliens would never know they were being watched. The intelligence they gathered was shocking. The galaxy had already forgotten about humanity. Trade routes were being redistributed among alien species. Former human colonies were being claimed by the Council. Humanity was being erased from galactic history. But there was more disturbing news. Scientist Yoonji Han, studying the intercepted alien communications, discovered the truth behind the quarantine. It's not just about containing us, Yoonji reported to the secret council that now governed human resistance efforts. Several council species want us extinct. They're hoping the quarantine will lead to our collapse. Captain Ji-won Kim listened to the report with growing anger. They're not just trying to cage us, they're trying to kill us slowly. The quarantine is meant to cut us off from resources until our colonies fail and our population crashes, Yoonji continued. Then they'll move in to claim our territories. The revelation changed everything. This wasn't just imprisonment. It was attempted genocide. Admiral Taeho Lee made a decision that would change galactic history. We're not just breaking out, he announced to the assembled resistance leaders. We're showing them exactly why trying to exterminate humanity was the worst mistake they could make. Across the solar system, human activity intensified. Hidden construction facilities worked around the clock. New shipyards were built inside hollowed-out asteroids. Mining operations stripped resources from moons and planets at unprecedented rates. Dr. Minji Park's breakthrough with consciousness-driven FTL led to other discoveries. Human researchers found ways to manipulate matter at the quantum level using focused thought. They learned to create energy fields that could render ships invisible to alien sensors. They developed weapons that worked by convincing enemy systems to shut themselves down. The aliens had always dismissed human intuition and creativity as inferior to logical thinking. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. Engineer. Heejin Choi's first test of the new drive technology was scheduled for the end of the month. The prototype ship would attempt to travel faster than light without creating any of the energy signatures that alien technology could detect. If this works, Heejin told her team, we'll be able to move through the galaxy completely undetected. The aliens will never see us coming. Meanwhile, every human settlement contributed to the effort. Mars Base began producing specialized materials that couldn't be created in Earth's gravity. The Jupiter mining stations provided rare elements needed for the new technologies. Even small research outposts developed new innovations. Commander Sunwoo Nam's intelligence network grew larger each week. His teams placed monitoring devices throughout the solar system, tracking every alien movement. They discovered patrol schedules, communication protocols, and most importantly, weaknesses in the alien monitoring system. The aliens were overconfident. They believed their barrier was unbreachable, so they weren't watching carefully for signs of human activity. This gave humanity the freedom to develop in secret. Captain Ji-won Kim coordinated the resistance from Luna Station, which had become the unofficial capital of free humanity. Every day brought new reports of breakthrough technologies and successful tests. But the most important discovery came from an unexpected source. A human janitor working on one of the outer research stations noticed something strange about the alien barrier devices. They're not just blocking our signals, he reported. They're absorbing energy from them. Every time we try to break through, the barrier gets stronger. This observation led Dr. Minji Park to a startling realization. The barrier isn't just a wall, she announced. It's a living system that feeds on conventional FTL attempts. That's why our new consciousness-based drives work. The barrier doesn't recognize them as technology. The aliens had built their prison to counter known galactic technologies. They hadn't prepared for humans to invent entirely new forms of physics. The 6-month mark passed. Humanity was no longer the same species the aliens had locked away. They had evolved, adapted, and grown beyond galactic understanding. Soon they would be ready to show the galaxy what happened when you tried to cage humanity. The aliens thought they had solved their human problem. They had no idea they had created something far more dangerous than they could imagine. 18 months after the quarantine began, Dr. Minji Park stood in front of a machine that should not exist. The device hummed with energy that seemed to bend reality around it. Her consciousness-driven, faster-than-light engine was finally ready. All systems are stable, her assistant reported. The test pilot is ready for the first jump. Minji nodded, but her hands shook slightly. Months of theoretical work had led to this moment. Either they would prove that human consciousness could power faster-than-light travel, or the test ship would disappear forever. The pilot, Lieutenant Taemin Song, sat in a chair surrounded by neural interfaces. The ship's computer was connected directly to his mind. Instead of pressing buttons or pulling levers, he would think the ship through faster-than-light space. Beginning jump sequence, Taemin reported. His voice was calm, but sweat beaded on his forehead. The ship began to glow with a strange blue light. Then, without any of the usual energy signatures that aliens could detect, it simply vanished. For 10 minutes, Minji and her team waited. The alien monitoring stations showed no reaction. Their sensors couldn't detect what had just happened. Then, as suddenly as it had disappeared, the ship reappeared. "Jump successful," Taemin announced, his voice filled with amazement. "I traveled 12 light minutes and 30 seconds. The barrier didn't even notice me." Minji felt tears of joy running down her face. They had done it. Humans had broken the unbreakable. While Minji celebrated her breakthrough, engineer Hyejin Choi was putting the finishing touches on humanity's new war fleet. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system had been working non-stop, building vessels. Unlike anything in galactic history, these ships were works of art as much as technology. They flowed like water, their surfaces shifting and changing based on their pilots' thoughts. They could become invisible, phase through solid matter, or strike with weapons that convinced enemy systems to shut down peacefully. Status report. On the fleet, Admiral Taiho Lee requested as he toured the main construction facility hidden inside Ceres. 250 ships completed, Hyejin replied. Each one is unique, adapted to its crew's specific mental patterns. No two ships work exactly the same way. Admiral Lee nodded with satisfaction. The Alien Council expected humans to build more of the same crude ships they had used before the quarantine. Instead, humanity had created a fleet that operated on completely different principles. Commander Sun Woo Nam's intelligence operations had revealed something disturbing about the galactic situation. The Alien Council wasn't just ignoring humanity, they were celebrating their absence. Trade profits are up 30% since the human quarantine, one intercepted message revealed. The aggressive expansion of the human species has ended, allowing proper development of galactic resources. Another message was even more telling. Council military spending has been reduced by 40%. With the human threat contained, member species can focus on peaceful expansion. The aliens had grown comfortable. They believed the human problem was solved forever. On the Council homeworld, Councillor Vexitai was receiving an award for outstanding service to galactic peace. His solution to the human problem was being studied by other galactic governments as a model for dealing with dangerous species. The human quarantine represents the perfect balance between firmness and mercy, Vexitai told the assembled alien dignitaries. We have contained their violent tendencies without resorting to extinction. Truly, this is the civilized approach. The audience of reptilian, insectoid, and energy-based life forms applauded enthusiastically. Only Ambassador Kilnar remained. Silent, his forearms crossed in worry. After the ceremony, Kilnar approached Vexitai privately. Have we received any reports from the monitoring stations lately? Why would we need reports? Vexitai replied dismissively. The humans are contained, The barrier is unbreachable. What could they possibly do? That's exactly what worries me, Kilnar muttered, but Vextai had already moved on to accept congratulations from other council members. Back in Earth's solar system, Captain Jiwon Kim was making a decision that would change galactic history. Standing in the command center of Luna Station, she looked at the assembled leaders of human resistance. "The question isn't whether we can escape," she announced. "Dr. Park's drive technology proves we can leave anytime we want. The question is, what do we do when we get out there?" Scientist Yoonji Han spoke up. "We could try diplomacy, prove to the Council that we've evolved beyond their fears." "After they tried to kill us slowly," Admiral Lee responded. "I don't think diplomacy is an option anymore," Captain Jiwon nodded. "They made their choice when they decided to cage us. Now we make ours." She activated the holographic display showing their planned route. "The first ships to break the quarantine won't be carrying diplomats or traitors. They'll be Admiral Lee's fastest attack vessels, carrying a message the galaxy will never forget." The plan was audacious. Instead of sneaking out quietly, humanity would announce their return in the most dramatic way possible. They would appear in the middle of major alien trade routes, demonstrating technology that shouldn't exist and capabilities the Council had deemed impossible. Dr. Minji Park's team had prepared special communication arrays that could broadcast messages across the entire galaxy simultaneously. These signals would be impossible to block or trace, unlike anything in current alien technology. Engineer Hyejin Choi had built demonstration ships designed to showcase human technological advancement. These vessels would perform maneuvers that violated alien understanding of physics, proving that humanity had evolved beyond galactic science. Commander Sunwoo Nam's intelligence network had identified the perfect targets for their demonstration. A major Council trade convoy was scheduled to pass through the Kepler system in exactly 1 week. The convoy would be protected by military vessels and carrying representatives from dozen alien species. "When we appear in front of that convoy," Admiral Lee explained, "every major species in the galaxy will see what humanity has become." The week passed quickly. Human crews made final preparations, checking and rechecking every system. This would be humanity's first contact with the outside galaxy in nearly 2 years. Everything had to be perfect. Dr. Minji Park performed final tests on the consciousness-driven engines. The fleet of 30 ships would jump together, appearing simultaneously around the alien convoy in a formation that would be impossible to achieve with conventional technology. Engineer Hyejin Choi uploaded the final tactical programs to the ship, computers. These vessels could adapt their weapons and defenses instantly based on their crew's thoughts, making them unpredictable in combat. Captain Jiwon Kim stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching Earth grow smaller through the view screen. After 18 months of preparation, humanity was ready to break free. "All ships report ready," Admiral Lee announced from his command vessel. "Begin jump sequence," Captain Jiwon ordered. Throughout the fleet, human pilots closed their eyes and focused their consciousness on their destination. The ships began to glow with that strange blue light that alien sensors couldn't detect. Then, in perfect synchronization, 30 human vessels vanished from Earth's solar system. They reappeared 18 light-years away, in the middle of the Kepler system, surrounding a Council trade convoy that had no idea they were coming. The aliens' comfortable universe was about to be shattered. The alien trade convoy was moving peacefully through the Kepler system when 30 human ships suddenly appeared around them. The aliens had no warning. Their sensors showed empty space one moment, and the next moment they were surrounded. Captain Jiwon Kim stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the alien vessels scramble to respond. Their ships were huge, built for cargo and comfort rather than combat. The escort vessels were older Council military designs, powerful but slow. "They're trying to send distress signals," reported her communications officer. "Let them," Jiwon replied calmly. "We want the entire galaxy to hear what happens next." Admiral Taeho Lee's voice came through the fleet communication system. "All ships begin demonstration protocol. Show them what we've learned." The human ships began to move in ways that made the aliens panic. They flowed through space like living creatures, changing direction without visible propulsion. Some ships became translucent, phasing in and out of reality. Others seemed to multiply, creating dozens of identical copies that confused alien targeting systems. On the bridge of the lead alien vessel, Captain Zektar of the Kepler Trading Guild watched in horror as the human ships performed impossible maneuvers. "How are they doing that?" his weapons officer asked. "Our computers can't track their movement patterns." "Those aren't the same crude human ships from 2 years ago," Captain Zektar replied. "These vessels operate on completely different principles." He opened a communication channel to the human fleet. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Zektar of the Authorized Council Trade Convoy. Identify yourselves immediately." Captain Jiwan's face appeared on every screen in the alien convoy. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were cold. Behind her, the bridge of her ship pulsed with organic-looking technology that seemed alive. "I am Captain Jiwan Kim of the Human Liberation Fleet," she announced. "We are the species you tried to cage. We've come to show you what your quarantine accomplished." "Impossible," Captain Zektar stammered. "Humans are contained within their home system. The barrier cannot be breached." Jiwan smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Your barrier was designed to stop the technology you knew we had. You never considered what we might develop when left completely alone." As she spoke, Commander Sunwoo Nam's boarding teams were already in action. Human ships that looked solid suddenly became transparent, allowing small craft to pass through their hulls. These boarding vessels approached the alien ships without triggering any defensive systems. The alien crews found themselves facing humans wearing sleek armor that seemed to respond to their thoughts. The humans carried weapons that didn't fire bullets or energy beams. Instead, they projected fields that simply convinced alien technology to shut down peacefully. "Your weapons are offline," Commander Sunwoo announced to the alien security teams. "Your engines are disabled, your life support systems are fine, we're not here to hurt you. We're here to deliver a message." Within minutes, the entire convoy was under human control. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single alien had been harmed. The psychological impact was devastating. Dr. Minji Park activated the galaxy-wide communication array she had spent months perfecting. Her signal reached every major star system simultaneously, impossible to block or jam. "People of the galaxy," Captain Jiwan's voice echoed across thousands of worlds. 2 years ago, your council decided humanity was too dangerous to remain free. They built a cage around our solar system, hoping we would stagnate and die. Message was being received on every inhabited planet, every space station, every ship in the galaxy. Alien leaders who had forgotten about humanity suddenly remembered what they had done. "You thought isolating us would make us weaker," Jiwan continued. "Instead, you gave us something precious, time to grow without your interference. We used that time well." Engineer Heejin Choi's demonstration ships began showing off human technological advancement. They reshaped themselves in real time, turning from sleek fighters into massive construction platforms, then into something that looked more like art than machinery. One ship demonstrated the new human understanding of matter manipulation. It reached out with invisible force fields and began rearranging the atomic structure of nearby asteroids, turning worthless rock into complex crystalline structures that sparkled with their own inner light. Another ship showed off human mastery of dimensional physics. It folded space around itself, becoming simultaneously visible in dozens of different locations throughout the star system. On the Council homeworld, Councillor Vexitai watched the human demonstration with growing horror. In the Council chambers, emergency sessions were being called as reports poured in from across the galaxy. "This is impossible," Vexitai insisted to the assembled Council members. "Human technology is centuries behind ours. They can't have developed these capabilities in just 2 years." Ambassador Kilnar stood up slowly, his 4 arms spread in a gesture of resignation. "Honored Counselor, you never understood what humans truly were. They are not advanced because of their technology. They are dangerous because they adapt." General Morden, the Council's top military leader, was studying tactical reports with growing alarm. "Our entire military doctrine is based on known physics and predictable technology. These human ships operate outside our understanding of what's possible." "How many ships do they have?" Councillor Vexitai demanded. "Intelligence reports suggest hundreds," General Morden replied. But with their new capabilities, 30 human ships could defeat our entire home fleet. As the demonstration continued, Captain Jiwan's message grew more pointed. For 2 years, you've been dividing our former territories among yourselves. You've redistributed our trade routes. You've acted as if humanity never existed. Scientist Yunji Han's research teams began broadcasting detailed technical specifications of human achievements during the quarantine. The data showed advancements in physics, engineering, and consciousness research that were centuries ahead of current galactic science. We could have returned as friends. Jiwan's voice continued across the galaxy. We could have shared what we learned during our isolation. But you chose to make us something else entirely. The human ships around the alien convoy began to move in perfect synchronization, their movements coordinated by the shared consciousness network that Dr. Minji Park had developed. They formed complex, three-dimensional patterns that seemed to have meaning beyond mere demonstration. Commander Sunwoo Nam reported from the captured alien flagship. Sir, we've accessed their communication logs. The entire galaxy has been celebrating our absence. They thought the human problem was solved permanently. Captain Jiwan nodded grimly. Then it's time to show them what problem they actually created. The human fleet began releasing clouds of microscopic devices that spread throughout the star system. These weren't weapons. They were communication nodes that would make human signals impossible to block. Within hours, humanity would have an unbreachable information network spanning multiple star systems. Your quarantine is over, Captain Jiwan announced to the galaxy. Not because you've chosen to release us, but because we've evolved beyond your ability to contain us. The species you tried to cage has become your superior in every way that matters. Admiral Taiho Lee's tactical ships demonstrated human military capabilities by effortlessly disabling the convoy's escort vessels. The alien military technology that had once seemed impressive now looked crude and outdated compared to human innovations. We returned to a galaxy that celebrated our absence, Jiwan's message continued. You thought removing humanity would bring peace and prosperity. Instead, you gave us time to become something you never imagined. The demonstration was nearly complete. The human fleet had shown their technological superiority, captured an entire convoy without violence, and delivered their message to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Now came the most important part of their return. The old rules no longer apply, Captain Jiwan announced. Humanity is no longer bound by council authority or galactic law. We are now the strongest species in the galaxy, and we will act accordingly. Your comfortable universe is about to change forever. Within 1 week of humanity's dramatic return, the galaxy erupted in chaos. Human fleets appeared simultaneously in dozens of star systems, each one demonstrating the same impossible technology that had overwhelmed the Kepler convoy. Captain Jiwan Kim coordinated the campaign from her flagship as it moved through former human territory. What she found made her anger burn brighter. Alien colonies had been established on worlds humans had terraformed. Alien mining operations had stripped resources from asteroids humans had claimed. The galaxy had carved up human space like a feast. Status report from all sectors, she requested from her command staff. Fleet Alpha has secured the Proxima system, reported Admiral Taiho Lee. The alien colonists there are offering no resistance. They seem grateful for our protection. This was unexpected. The humans had expected to fight for their former territories. Instead, they found alien populations that welcomed their return. Engineer Hyejin Choi's construction fleets were already at work, building massive space stations at strategic points throughout human space. These weren't military bases, but technological marvels that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built. The new stations served multiple purposes. They were communication hubs for Dr. Minji Park's galaxy-wide information network. They were research centers where human scientists continued, developing new technologies. And they were symbols of human superiority that could be seen from dozens of light-years away. Construction of Station Prime is ahead of schedule, Hyejin reported from the Centauri system. The organic architecture is adapting to local space conditions exactly as designed. The aliens keep sending ships just to observe our building techniques. These stations grew rather than being assembled. Using human mastery of matter manipulation, they started as tiny seeds and expanded over days into structures larger than many alien space cities. The technology required was so advanced that alien scientists couldn't even understand what they were observing. Commander Sun Wu-Nam's intelligence operations revealed the true state of Council military forces. Years of reduced spending and overconfidence had left them unprepared for any serious threat. Their weapons were outdated, their tactics were predictable, and their commanders had never faced an enemy with superior technology. The Council home fleet consists of 300 vessels, Sun Wu reported to the Human Leadership Council. All of them are using technology at least 50 years old. Our smallest combat ship could disable their entire fleet without taking damage. But Admiral Tai Ho Lee had developed a strategy that was far more effective than simple military conquest. He called it aggressive mercy, overwhelming enemy forces so completely that resistance became pointless, then offering terms far more generous than they deserved. Fleet engagement in the Vega system, Lee announced during one of his daily briefings. Council forces attempted to retake the system. We disabled their entire squadron in 12 minutes. No casualties on either side. The Council commander surrendered and asked to join our fleet. This kept happening. Alien military units that engaged human forces found themselves so outmatched that fighting became meaningless. Human ships could disable entire fleets without breaking formation. Human weapons could convince enemy vessels to shut down their own systems. Human defenses made their ships nearly impossible to damage. Faced with such overwhelming superiority, many alien commanders chose to surrender rather than watch their crews die uselessly. Dr. Minji Park's new galactic communication network was spreading faster than the Council could react. Her quantum-based communication nodes appeared in star systems across the galaxy, creating an information network that no government could control or censor. We're receiving reports from 47 systems, Minji announced during a daily briefing. Species that have been oppressed by the Council for centuries are using our network to coordinate resistance movements. The uncensored flow of information was having dramatic effects. Alien populations were learning about Council corruption, military failures, and secret agreements that had kept certain species subjugated for millennia. The human network was sparking revolutions across the galaxy. On the Council homeworld, Sage Ethros emerged from centuries of meditation to address the crisis. The ancient energy being was one of the oldest members of the Council, a creature so advanced that most species considered it nearly godlike. The fundamental balance of galactic power has shifted, Ethros announced to the Emergency Council session. Humanity has not simply escaped containment. They have evolved beyond our ability to control or predict. Councillor Vextai still refused to accept the situation. They're still just humans, biological creatures with limited lifespans and primitive social structures. How can they challenge species that have existed for millions of years? Because, Ethros replied patiently, you never understood what makes humans dangerous. It is not their technology or their weapons. It is their ability to adapt and grow when faced with pressure. You provided them with the greatest pressure of all, the threat of extinction. General Morden entered the chamber with the latest military reports. His expression showed defeat before he even spoke. Council forces have engaged human fleets in 15 different systems, he reported. We have achieved 0 victories. Human casualties are 0. Our casualties would be total if they weren't choosing to spare our crews. What do you mean, choosing to spare them? Vextai demanded. They're not trying to kill us, Morden explained. Their weapons disable our ships without harming the crews. Their boarding parties secure our vessels without violence. They're treating our military like children playing war games. The psychological impact was devastating. The Council's greatest military minds were being treated like amateurs by a species they had considered primitive just 2 years earlier. Commander Sun Wu-Nam's teams were documenting everything they found in former Council territories. The evidence of corruption and oppression was overwhelming. Species had been enslaved through debt manipulation. Resources had been stolen through legal technicalities. Entire civilizations had been suppressed to prevent them from challenging Council authority. "We're not just liberating human space," Sunwoo reported to Captain Ji-won Kim. "We're uncovering evidence of systematic oppression spanning thousands of years. The Council hasn't been maintaining galactic peace. They've been maintaining galactic control through fear and manipulation." This discovery changed the nature of humanity's campaign. They weren't just reclaiming their own territory anymore. They were becoming liberators for dozens of oppressed species who had suffered under Council rule. Scientist Eun-ji Han's analysis revealed the scope of the Council's crimes. "They've been deliberately keeping species at specific technology levels," she explained. "Any civilization that develops too quickly gets quarantined or invaded. They've been preventing galactic advancement for millennia." The evidence was clear. The Council's action against humanity wasn't unique. It was standard procedure for dealing with any species that grew too powerful or independent. Captain Ji-won Kim made a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. Standing before the assembled human fleet commanders, she announced a new mission. "We're not just taking back what was stolen from us," she declared. "We're ending the system that made the theft possible. Every species deserves the freedom to develop without Council interference." Human fleets began appearing in systems where oppressed species had been fighting hopeless resistance movements for generations. Instead of facing Council military forces alone, these rebels suddenly found themselves supported by technology that made victory inevitable. The news spread rapidly through Dr. Min-ji Park's communication network. Humanity wasn't just stronger than the Council. They were using their strength to help others rather than to dominate. This created a psychological shift throughout the galaxy. Species that had feared human expansion 2 years earlier now saw humanity as their path to freedom from Council oppression. Ambassador Kilnar, watching the situation unfold, sent a private message to his homeworld. "The Council's greatest fear has come true. We created an enemy so powerful that resistance is meaningless. But perhaps that enemy will be a better ruler than we ever were." The roles had completely reversed. The Council that had caged humanity now found themselves trapped by their own failures, watching helplessly as their former prisoners became the galaxy's new leaders.